Hi, my name is Susan Weimer, and I'm here for My Sweet Petunia. My blog is www.stampbackandrelax.blogspot.com, and I'm on the My Sweet Petunia design team, and I'm here with a video for Team Tuesdays. This is my first video for the Tuesday series, and we'll be making this card, which I have made before when people had questions on it, so I thought I would shoot a video. We'll be using the Craft and Desert Divas Hello Beautiful, a piece of Nina Desert Storm, some Fantastics, my mini, MISTI, and some pigment inks. And this is white, the Hero Arts white, unicorn white pigment ink. Excuse me. Please excuse the lighting. It's a horribly dark and dreary day here in Florida. And I had to turn on every single light in my room, and even that wasn't enough. I've had to adjust the lighting here in the video editing software. And I had to do major editing to the photo as well. But excuse my desk. My husband and I are trying to figure out an alternative setup for making more professional looking YouTubes. He was even mentioning buying me some studio lights. I was like, yay! So currently, while this is filming, I have every single light in my room on. My 2 aught lights, 4 overheads, and then the fan light, and it's still dark, too dark. So we're just stamping the main part of this image and placing it as we go to try to get the best placement of the stamps. And the main part of the image is really curved, and there's some very, very clever things you can do with it. I would suggest, if you're interested in the stamp set, and you should be, going over to Craft and Desert Divas and taking a look. It's under Hello Beautiful, and seeing the other cards that the design team made with it, which makes me realize I need to fully disclose that I am also on the Craft and Desert Divas design team. But I've been having so much fun playing with this image, and I think I said people asked me about this technique that I thought I would film a video. So it's important to wash off your stamp and dry it in between every time, so that when you reposition it, you're not leaving blobs of ink or water behind. I also recommend using a baby wipe. Stamps, chamois, I think, can get clogged up with pigment inks, if that makes any sense. Yes, you can wash them. So here's where I figure out that I got to change over to my other MISTI. So I swapped everything out, moved the other stamp that I had been working with for another project out, and now I'm going to use this one. This is the regular size regular size MISTI, and I'm so sorry about the light shining in there. And then I'm just going to restamp it. So anyway, use a baby wipe. Don't use a chamois. You can wash your chamois in the washing machine, and I've done that. But I just save mine for dye inks, not for pigment inks, because it'll just glump it up. And I need to get some more of the bar magnets. When my son visits, he thinks that's really funny. And well, he's always thought magnets are funny. And my son is in his late 20s now, and he thinks it's funny to play with these magnets. And I don't know why. But he does not do anything with magnetism for a job. It's just a thing. So we're just going to gracefully cover the front of this panel to make basically our own patterned paper. And I think it's funny that we do that, or a lot of stampers do that, when I think if you walked in our rooms, you would notice that we have tons of pattern paper, so why not use that? But there's really something pretty I think anyway, about making your own. It just lends a credibility to the fact that the whole card is handmade. Not that it's not okay to use pattern paper. It's perfectly fine. And I think part of it is I just like the process. But it also shows you that you can get many different looks out of one stamp set. And then we're going to consider that done and hit it with a heat gun, which I'm warming off to the side there because I don't want to warp this paper. And it's the 90-pound Desert Storm. I don't have the 110-pound. And I just learned today that there were matching envelopes from somewhere. I gotta go have a look at those. So I've put 2 pieces of paper underneath my hands so that I don't accidentally smudge or get oil onto the images that I've just stamped. And then we're going to fill in each petal with the white pigment ink. So we're using that as our highlights. So thinking about Copics, we use a highlight, a mid-tone, and a dark. We might use more than one marker. In this case, we're only using 3 inks. But that's basically what we're doing. But we're just using pigment ink. And it is a whole lot more forgiving because if I overdo it and get a little heavy-handed with my dark, I can just add a little bit of white or the mid-tone color to it. And since I have the inks here, I'll tell you what they are. It's Avriel Sea Glass is the light color, and Aquamarine is the dry color. The dark color. I think I'm just wishing it would dry out outside. I haven't seen rain like this since Irma, and that's saying a lot. So I'm going to just color this one flower for you, and one leaf and the middle part of this flower. And then I'm going to shut the camera off and color the rest of this off screen. I think it took me about 2 hours to do this. And one of the reasons I shut the camera off and unplugged it was that the storms were getting really, really bad. And also just think once you see me do it once, you don't need to see it again. So you do not have to fill in the petal with the white. Or you can vary the amount of white. You can do all sorts of things. So you might want to practice on a piece of paper on the side. This is just the way I do it. And Dawn from W+9 just did a video using Fantastics for ink blending, and I'm 90% sure she used distress inks, distress oxides. And since distress oxides have a pigment ink property to them, I would think that they would be well suited to this technique as well. There's not a white distress oxide, so you'd still have to use a white pigment ink if you wanted to use that for your highlights, or you could use antique linen distress oxide as your highlight. That would be kind of interesting to do. You would get a more vintagey feel using that ink. Oh, I might have to try that. But this was based on the card that I did that was in pinks that was part of the release last week from Craft and Desert Divas. And this really is a beautiful stamp set. I have a ton of florals. I can't even get to tell you how many I have. I don't even want to count because I would be embarrassed. And this is one of my favorites. I just think the flowers are pretty. They're the right size. There are enough little smaller stamped images and then 2 cute sentiments to go with it. There's also 2 die cuts. They don't cut the stamp sentiment. They cut slightly bigger, but they're cute as well. So I'm just basically going around. I try to usually leave a little bit. I should have zoomed in more, but I wanted you to see I was working on the pads. How I did this. I sometimes purposely leave a little bit of the craft showing. And then every now and then I wipe off the excess ink off of the Fantastics. And they're very durable. I've had these, oh gosh, probably 5 years. And I have one that's kind of dedicated to every different color family. So I have a regular blue, a pool blue. They're really inexpensive, something that you can easily find at a craft store, online, at Simon or Amazon or wherever you shop. So we're just about finished up with this flower. And you can see how easy it is to fix and to make it look the way you want it to look. I guess we weren't finished. So I moved my paper around and then repositioned all of the papers so that I'm constantly trying not to touch that. Please excuse the do not turn on the camera sign there. I usually put that down when I've gotten up from my work to do something, or in this case, avoid stormy stuff. And I usually remember to put it back up. But, oh well. Live and learn. Eventually, one of these days, I will get better at this and my videos will look better. But I do thank you for bearing with me in all of this. So I've sped it up so we don't have to spend hours watching me color the same flower. The first flower is the one that's the most time consuming because you're trying to figure out exactly which colors you're going to use or how much of this you're going to use or redoing it. And then once you get through it, you kind of get the hang of the coloring. And these magnolia blossoms really do have a lot to the petals. There's a cup side and then there's the outer shell. And so they're just a little more time consuming to color, but totally worth it in the end. So again, periodically you have to tap off the excess ink. I think you can probably wash these because it's just basically a sponge at the bottom of it. It's kind of stiff. But you could wash them in, with soap and water. And now these are the two colors for the center, which are Sunshine by Avriel and Fizz. Which is kind of like an orangey yellow, which I thought would coordinate well with the blues. So for the greens, I have celery, that's the lighter green, and lemongrass, which is wait a minute, take that back. Lemongrass is the lighter green and celery is the darker green. And again, somebody should give this a try. I might have to do it in Distress Oxides because I bet they would work. And then I'm putting the papers back in place. And yeah, see, I've gotten up. All right, so here's the card done. And you can see that you will get little bits of white or colors onto your ink pad. And all you have to do is wipe it off with a baby wipe. And you can see on my blotter where I have, constantly wiped off the excess ink from the sponge so that it blends better that way. I'm just touching it to check it. Typically, I would not have worked with this card so quickly. I would have let it dry overnight. I get a little paranoid. It seemed to be fine, especially rolling it through a die cutting machine. I was just panicked that it wasn't going to work. So Just coming back. And I have this curved banner from Craft and Desert Divas and a straight sentiment from the handwritten hello set from W+9 that I want to use together. But the sentiment's completely straight. So I have a tremor, and trying to get things really lined up is really difficult. And for some reason, I have a stash, let me tell you, I could not find a curved sentiment for the life of me. So I just went with the one that I really liked the best. But I love this banner, so I wanted to use it. So I need to get it to reshape. And so I'm going to do a little surgical manipulation with some palette knives here. I think Ileana should make a new tool. Because I needed 2 of them. But eventually it does work. And if I didn't have the MISTI, I would not have been able to stamp this straight. I suppose trying to curve this on a block might have been easier, but if you have a really bad tremor, and I do, you just can't see it here because we have the video sped up so quickly. Trying to stamp on a curve straight down onto a surface without the MISTI for me is just impossible. So this is one of the reasons why I love it, and I almost always use it. Every now and then I'll pull out a block for something really quick or very small that it's not going to make I can't make a huge mistake using it, but if it's something important, excuse my head, then I'm definitely using my MISTI. And the stamp moves around enough on the door. I can reposition it easily enough, I should say, that I felt pretty comfortable with how this worked out. Putting my surgical tools back. And please excuse the mess on my desk. But, I guess we're keeping it real here today. And this is some VersaFine Onyx Black. Just going to stamp that. And that's my favorite ink for stamping sentiments. I think it's probably the best one out there, especially when the sentiment's really small. It leaves a nice, crisp, clear image the first try, and I can't even begin to tell you how long I've had that pad for. I'll bet it's 10 years old. So now we go through the whole process. I've die cut it with the scalloped rectangle from the Fancy Frame set from Craft and Desert Divas, and I'm using that because I love it. I have a slightly smaller one, the same kind of basic design. Oh no, maybe it's a little bit bigger. I don't know. I have one from another company that I use all the time too. I go back and forth. I grabbed this one. So I'm going to put this down, and I left the edges of the tape out so that I could more easily reposition the panel if I needed to. And then I've double layered. I have another color. I have a banner cut out of the same die cut, but with the blue that matches the blue of the flowers. And then we're just going to add some clear droplets from Pretty Pink Posh. And I thought about sequins, and then I thought, no, I think the droplets, so that it looks more like droplets of water. And then I adhere those with some matte medium, and I have my matte medium in this fine liner bottle. I've had this bottle for 4 years now, and I just periodically refill it with matte medium. You could also use the Ranger, I think it's multi-medium. I think that's what they're still calling it. I'm not really sure. But there's the finished card. And now I'm going to let this sit aside and dry before I mail it off to a friend that I haven't seen in a long time. And thank you for coming here, and thank you for visiting the MISTI blog. I hope you've enjoyed this card. And I'm looking forward to seeing your comments. I will answer them. Please ask any question you like. I appreciate a thumbs up on the video if you liked it. And if you would hit subscribe, that would be great. And thank you so much for being here with me today.